Hello class, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Lawrence Stevens and today I'm going to show you how to make homemade guacamole. You may be asking yourself, why guacamole? That's a great question. I personally love guacamole. I grew up in Houston, Texas, and there was an abundance of Mexican restaurants all over the place, and I grew up on good guacamole. Now fast forward to today, I live in Arizona, and surprisingly enough, you would think that there would be good Mexican restaurants, but I have yet to find a bunch of good Mexican restaurants that sell guacamole the way I like it, that good homemade tableside guacamole. So what I decided to do is to learn how to make my own homemade guacamole just the way I like it. And today I'm going to teach you guys how to make your own homemade guacamole. Why is it good to know how to make homemade guacamole? That's another good question. Well, if you're like me and you don't have a good restaurant and you love guacamole, you can make it for yourself. Or better yet, if you entertain or you're someone that gets invited to other people's parties that entertain a lot, it is always wonderful to have a go-to dish that you can make very easily, very simply, that is a crowd favorite that everyone loves. And guacamole is one of those dishes. So let's get started. The first thing we need to know with making homemade guacamole is the ingredients. What ingredients are you gonna need? The most important ingredient, of course, is gonna be the avocado. Now, avocados are super crucial to make sure that you have ripe avocados. If they're not ripe, it can ruin the guacamole. In fact, you might not even be able to make the guacamole. Unfortunately, because of the time constraints with this video, I was not able to find the ripest guacamole, and I had to really mush and cut up my avocados quite a bit to get it to the consistency that I like. Some of my avocados were so hard they're unusable. Literally, I cut this one open. It is hard as a rock. No way it can be used. Now, a lot of store-bought avocados are gonna be hard when you first buy them. So what do? All you have to do is just set it out on your shelf or on your counter somewhere. Let the avocado set for a couple days. It will ripen up. Good tip for when picking avocados is if you can find them in the store, you just wanna push it a little bit. This is a nice avocado. When you're pushing and feeling the avocados, it'll give a little bit. It's not gonna be super mushy, but it will give a little bit, and that's how you know it's ripe. Now, if you find one like this one, as hard as a rock, try to skip it, or if that's all they have, just remember it's gonna be a couple days before you can actually use it and it's any good to use. So avocado is the first thing. Next, you have diced red onions. You're gonna wanna use red onions compared to other onions. Also, when dicing all the ingredients, I prefer that you dice them very small. Dice them as finely as possible to have that consistency. When you're mixing all the ingredients together, it's great if you have a little bit in every bite. Now, I don't know if you have ever experienced any type of dip, whether it's cheese dip, avocado, where there's a bunch of ingredients. You go in, you dip, and either have too much of something on your chip or you don't have enough of something on your chip. And it's frustrating, it's just not as good and it's inconsistent. When you dice things up smaller, when you mix it together, it spreads throughout very easily, and it's more likely that every scoop is gonna be more consistent and taste great. So that's why I recommend dicing them small. Next, you have diced red tomatoes. You're gonna need tomatoes. Also, you need cilantro. Cilantro, again, some people have the bigger leaves. I like to dice mine up a little bit. That's a personal preference, whatever you prefer there. Again, going back to the same thing, having it consistent throughout with every bite, dicing it up a little bit. And then also, the last thing that you're gonna need to dice up is jalapenos. Now, jalapenos is something that some people consider optional. I personally love spicy food, so jalapenos is not optional. It must be in my guacamole dip. But you can opt to not use jalapenos at all. If you don't like spicy foods, or if you just want it on the milder side, you can add as much or little jalapeno as you desire. I personally add a lot because I like spicy foods. Then you need lime juice. Now, you can use store-bought lime juice in a bottle. I always recommend getting a fresh lime. There's something to be said for freshly squeezed lime juice compared to the lime juice out of a bottle. Then you need some ground sea salt. You're gonna have to put some sea salt in there for flavor. And then the last ingredient, which a lot of guacamole dips actually do not include, is ground cumin. Now, ground cumin is something that I found from an article Amy 2017 posted in her blog post of the best guacamole dip. She says ground cumin is the secret ingredient that ties all the other ingredients together. And I tend to agree with her. So I use just a dash of ground cumin. It makes all the flavors just go together very well. So again, it's something you can try out. If you don't like it, you can opt out of it and just not use it. But I think it's a great addition to all the other ingredients. So now we're gonna get started. In the essence of saving time, as you can see, I've already diced up a lot of my ingredients, and I've already cut up my avocados and smushed them in the bowl because they're a little not as ripe as I would like them. It took me a little time, so I already did it ahead of time to save time. But I do want to show you one example, kind of a little tip when cutting up avocados. I always recommend cutting an avocado the long side like this one, where you cut it like this. You'll have one half without the seed and then one half with the seed. Now the seed that's in the half that's still there, a secret of getting that out without wasting too much avocado. A lot of times I used to use my spoon to get it out, but then there'd be avocado stuck to it and I'm wasting a lot of avocado, or I'm trying to scrape it off to get it in there. If you just put it down, you have a fairly sharp knife that you're cutting it with. Just, oh, not like that. You dab it in the avocado like this, and then, well, that didn't work that time. Let's try one more time. So it's not working this time. All my other avocados, it worked fine. Perfect example of sometimes everything doesn't go to plan. It actually broke off, but normally what's supposed to happen is when you stick it in, then you can wiggle it out and it'll come out just perfect, where you don't have any of the avocado that you're wasting there. And then you can take your spoon and you use your spoon and you just kind of cradle it and it scoops out very nicely like that. So luckily I did this ahead of time. You don't have to watch me or hassle with that anymore. So let's get to it and adding all the ingredients. First, I got my bowl with my avocado that I've already cut up, and I'm gonna add a little diced onion. Now some recipes will tell you exact amounts for everything. I just kind of like adding a little bit of everything and then tasting as I go in and adding more. Just remember, you can always add more ingredients. You can't take away. So it's good to start with a little bit and then keep adding as you go in. Taste test and then keep adding more. So I add a little onions, a little tomatoes, a little cilantro, and then finally my favorite, and I'm gonna use the spoon because I don't want jalapenos on my hands and then rub my eyes later, which unfortunately I've done way too many times to count. And then a little jalapenos. Also the lime, cut up the lime, just cut it in half, and then squeeze it by hand in there. Getting a lot of nice lime juice in there. One more, squeeze it in there. It can get a little messy, but that's okay. And then we have some freshly ground sea salt, which you're gonna want to add to your own satisfaction. Again, after you do a little bit, stir it up, mix it around, and then a little ground cumin. Mix it around and taste test. I just do a dash of cumin. Now I have all my ingredients in there. All it is just mixing it up. Sometimes it's nice using a fork and a spoon at the same time. It's easy to kind of mush it all together and mix it up. It doesn't matter though. Until you see a nice consistency of everything mixed together. Once you get it mixed a little bit, then you can take your chips. As you can see there, it's mixing up nicely. You can take your chips, and any type of chip works. Doesn't matter if you prefer round, square, whatever your preference is. Taste test a little bit. Not bad. It's a good start. I think I need a little more onions, probably a few more tomatoes in there, and definitely a lot more salt. And this is what you're going to continue to do. You just add the things that you think it's missing. Once you do that, you mix again. You'll taste again, and then you'll get it to your desired flavor and your taste. And once you got what you like, then it's ready to serve. So that is all there is. It's as simple as that. Now you guys know how to make homemade guacamole. So the next time you're entertaining or having a group of people over, or the next time you're invited to the party and you need to bring a dish and you're wondering, what can I bring? Guacamole is always a crowd favorite. Now you know how to make it. I hope that you enjoy it. Thanks. Have a good one.